once they are on, when they access these free programs that help them form the groups, then they are able to start right. So that by invitation to the group, and by the group calling up KIG and asking, we need this kind of resource. I, in particular, spend most of my weekends, mainly Saturdays, and even some evenings, speaking to groups around how to form and set up properly. The basic topics, especially groups that are just about to start. Those ones call us, and we go in and talk to them and show them the structures, the options, and their issues, and why they should go for structure A or for structure B, and why they need to understand the investment options first before they settle for one, and just the issue of governance structures, a board, how to bring it on board, what committees to create, when, what they do, and why.
Right. Yeah. And then when it comes to, in terms of numbers, you target this number of people. How much do you charge? You talked about cost.
We usually do not quite charge the groups what you'd call a fee. They would probably just pay for snacks. Because, as it were, we've been lucky to find sponsors who come on board to sponsor part of the cost. So that really, if a group were to pay, they would pay a very small fee just to cover for
the subsidized cost.
Yes, because we have to hire the rooms and the equipment and what have you, which usually would be paid by a sponsor. In absence of which, then they would pay a slightly higher fee per attendant, but nothing more than 1,000 bob. So it's not anything to talk about. It's really 500 shillings or less, basically for snacks. Much of our costs are covered by sponsors, and because we now have numbers, we've been lucky to attract quite a few sponsors.
Right. And so, how do people get to know about this particular association?
Well, the reason
even those who want to come
here is to tell them that we are there. Yes. One, that the PR is probably the first option. Two, we tend to reach people a lot. The universities, we've taken a direct effort to reach universities. We've actually engaged, we engage universities, we engage students on attachment, who then go and spread the message to look for groups, identify groups in the universities, tell them who KIG is, why it is here, and how they would benefit, and proceed to register them. So I think we've registered about 8 or so groups in less than 8 months, between January and today, that is in the universities. That itself has expanded our membership by quite a large number. And I remember the last training we held in May was overbooked. We had to stop the booking because the numbers were quite big because of that particular one. Yeah. We also approach groups one by one. And one funny thing, or rather one good thing about groups is that I am in group X, but I'm also in group Y. So when you meet me in group Y, you've also met group X. So we do breakfast sessions also occasionally and invite people from different backgrounds, different groups. We ask them to invite other people, and during those breakfast sessions, we'll then be able to tell them what KIG is, what ACL is. There's a subset child of KIG called ACL.
What does it stand for?
Amalgamated Chama Limited. I'll talk about it later. Right. It's really an investment arm for KIG that was created with the intention of harnessing bigger investments that the group can do.
For KIG?
On behalf of the members. I'll speak about it briefly. Okay. Right. So we then tell them what KIG is, what are our objectives, who is ACL, what are objectives, how do you join, how do you benefit. So it's really word of mouth going around, one group affecting another. We don't have many other options. We've got a website, and not many people would be able to know we have a website until they have an interact with us. We also use our members, our corporate members like banks, who then speak to their customers that are themselves groups. You've seen the Chama account is quite a big issue here. I mean, it's quite a big product here. So the Chama account is one platform that the Chamas get to know who we are through our corporate members. Actually, all the banks that have got Chama accounts are our corporate members.
Okay. Yeah. And then, I mean, because you just mentioned about one of the gatherings you organized, and it was overly booked. That just shows you there is a great need
in
the country.
There is.
And what are you doing to be able to, harness all this energy and all this potential?
We must appreciate that Kaig and its affiliates. First of all, Kaig is non-profit, so we don't quite have our money. What we have is the idea and the skill and the organizing ability. So what we began doing first of all was to create an infrastructure for members to come in, and now that members have come in, we've been able to attract sponsors, and as sponsors sponsor our programs, we are able to expand our reach outside there. Our desire is to at a time when every chama, wherever they are, however far they are an affiliate member of KIG. That's the ultimate goal. Certainly, it will take us much longer to get there, but we do have a plan to bring in on board quite a number of groups. I've just mentioned to you, where does groups start? Groups start when people are as young as 20, 25 in the university. So instead of focusing more on the older groups, which we are also doing something about, we are focusing also on the emerging groups so that they don't get it wrong. And the good thing with these groups is that they have got a lot of multiplier effect at the back. When you get university students, you meet many more people around them. Parents, brothers, sisters, and others around them. So they
spread the word.
So they spread the word faster than you and I, who are more conservative. We've got less cycles of influence. The student has got a lot of people to reach directly. So by getting their side of the groups right, while we are also working on the existing groups, we are getting both sides of the divide getting better. One of the things that I think KIG agreed to do more than 4 months ago was to allow as many of those younger groups to join for free and to access this service for free, these goodies for free. It's a public good, they need it. When we give it as soon as possible, the more people we get on board. That's really our biggest initiative as of now. And as a board, we are looking at other options that we haven't quite nailed down. So I would not be in a position to say, okay, KIG has put all this down. But there are options we are considering. How do we go to the chamas in Mwingi? How do we go to a chama somewhere in Lekoni and make them become members? We are doing something about that.
Right.
We'll probably be telling you more when we come back.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What does one need to know when getting into a group looking to invest?
First, there is the common issue called like-mindedness, and I must demystify like-mindedness. Let me go back to how groups meet. Most of the groups are formed around friendships. Now, friendships come in various forms. The common one, high school. We were in high school together, or we were in campus together, or we were in worked for one employer.
Or you're from the same family.
Or family, but the more common ones are friendships. So you and I and he and she met in this workplace. So we decide we want to do something. We can even meet as members of a wedding committee. The most common, by the way, members of a wedding committee coming together like, after the wedding, now what next? Let's extend this into more friendship, then from more friendship into can we invest together? So the evolution takes different forms, but friendship. Now, the like-mindedness based on friendship is good as well as it is bad. Why do I say that? Good because it brought us together, and we were able to open an account, sustain our social momentum, and put money together also. But if it is not followed by certain level of knowledge and experience in the area you want to invest, people end up putting money in an account but never investing at all. Why? Because take any 3 people in the group or three subgroups in the groups, each with different levels of knowledge of risk and return in various elements of investing. Those who love shares and no shares versus those who love land and no land versus those who want business and no business. These are the 3 different groups. The fact that they have different levels of understanding of the other categories of investment is itself a point of departure. And if not managed carefully, the group may remain the same, putting money together, but really is doing nothing. And that's
because they're still not united in terms of what to do.
They are not. They are not like-minded in what is risk, what is return. So what risk exists in land, what risk exists in shares, what risk exists in business is not common to all of us. Now, if we do not have one or two or three of us who have significant experience in those areas, then we might end up just going around like ants.
So what would you advise them?
What we then do is to create forums for them to come and learn these things. And we urge members of groups to actually, one, try to invite in members from backgrounds that have those experience gaps they miss. One of the things a group does almost naturally is that it brings people with different skills. But it's not always that these skills are able to complement. So one of the things we urge members to do, members of groups that are existing to do, is to look for new members outside the group or who would meet part of the skill that they need but they don't have. If they can't hire him, bring him on board.
So you do help them identify the particular missing skill?
Especially for groups that are just forming.
Okay.
That's very easy. For groups that have been in existence for very long, this skill might need to be hired, but they need to know that that skill is the reason they are behind. It is not always that people understand that we are struggling because of this particular problem. I am looking at shares, you are looking at land, he is looking at business, but none of us really have accepted that it is our lack of common understanding of each of these that is causing us to struggle.
Right.
So what we do is when we bring a professional to speak to you, he's able to be that neutral person who will listen to all of you and let you appreciate that, guys, your bigger issue is not the fact that is really because you are in small pockets and you don't have one pocket that you all fit in. So help you develop a strategy, or rather an investment strategy, that then can accommodate all of you, and then you move forward.
So all the ideas will be taken into account
yes,
in the same structure, so they don't have to break apart.
More in an order of priority than just having them all, because if you only have 100,000 bob, how do you invest in land, shares, and business?
Okay.
So you cause members to begin to see that this 100,000 bob may first begin by being put in shares. Okay. So as you bring in more money put in shares, probably, then eventually when you reach this level of capital, let's get into this also. Okay. Then if you reach this level of capital, then let's get into this level. In the meantime, you are acquiring this experience. Because there's a learning curve that they will necessarily have to go through. There's no option. Right. Unless groups form governance structures, boards and committees that can then execute the experience gap and participate in investments on their behalf, they may never leave that level. So that movement from an informal group to a business with a governance structure, with experiences that they don't have, including hiring people where they need to begin to undertake investment, is a value add that Kaig brings in the level of groups.